The Flash Annual Number 2, written by Brian Buccellato, art by Sammy Basri. So, this is kind of a evergreen story. It can slot in wherever, but the main thing to know is that Hal Jordan, because Green Lantern is in this book, is going to Oa because he's taking over the Green Lantern Corps and he's not going to be back for a while. So, Barry has taken him out to a jazz club, and Hal's like, "This is stupid. Jazz sucks." And Barry's like, "You suck. Jesus, why am I even your friend?" And then all of a sudden, they teleport out, and they are put onto a spaceship surrounded by a bunch of aliens, and they immediately recognize it as Arena World. And they're just like, "Oh, hey, Green Lantern, Flash, glad we got you. You made a deal with us a while back. Now you got to own up to it." And Barry's like, "I'm sorry, what deal are we talking about here?" And I was like, So then we get to a few years ago, which is actually a story of how Flash and Green Lantern met. And there's a bunch of kids going missing from group homes, like orphanages and such. They're just disappearing by the bunch load, and it's all over the country. And obviously this was bumped up to like FBI, but they have no leads. And Barry's like, "Well, I just recently became the Flash, so I'll go ahead and look into it." And a pattern finally started to emerge, and he manages to find the next abduction is going to be at Coast City. So he runs over there, and as he approaches the building, Hal Jordan comes up and is like, "Ah, so you like stealing little kids, huh?" And he's like, "What? No, that's not, I'm here to stop that." And he phases out of the Green Lantern construct, and he holds up a badge being like, I'm a police investigator to some extent." And Green Lantern's like, "Yeah, that's great. How the hell did you just phase out of my construct?" And so they start arguing about each other, and Barry's like, "Wait a minute, I've heard of you. I thought you were just a myth." And he's like, You've heard of me?" He's like, "Yeah, you're Superman, right?" He's like, "No, I'm not I'm Green Lantern. Come on, man. I'm wearing a big old green suit." And so they're about to start like bickering at each other, fighting each other, when all of a sudden there's a big flash of light inside the orphanage, and Green Lantern flies off. Barry puts on a suit and runs inside. He sees a teleporting hole just about to close, so he runs inside of that. And on the other side is Green Lantern fighting off some aliens. And he's like, "Oh, geez, are we in space?" Green Lantern's like, "Barry, is that you?" He's like, "No, I'm Flash." And he's like, "Dude, you're barely putting on a voice, and I know I literally just saw you. Whatever. If you got superpowers, then help me out. Help me fight." And so they start fighting off all these aliens. They see some of the kids are safe. And so Barry takes a second to adjust, like, "Wait a minute, I'm in outer space right now." And he's like, "Yeah, no, totally. How about you take those kids? The teleporter grid is over there. Just take them home, and I'll take care of the rest of them." So Barry teleports him home, and then immediately teleports himself back, meets back up with Green Lantern, and just like, "Yeah, no, it's whole thing." And he keeps on calling Barry, and Barry's like, "Dude, call me the Flash. It's secret identity." And he's like, "Why? I know who you are. Who cares? Nobody else here cares who you are. Like, look." And he takes off his Green Lantern mask. He's like, "I'm Hal Jordan." And Barry's like, "No, come on, man. Secret identities. There's a reason for this." But then over here, suddenly they hear a kid yelling in pain. And so Barry runs his way towards the sound. Turns out the kids are being trained in some gladiator pits by this huge dude. And one of the kids got smacked down. So Flash puts him in a whirlwind. He gets smacked away. Flash and Green Lantern do a team up to take this guy out. And then they're like, "Okay, these are all the kids except for 3. There are 3 more kids that were abducted that are still unaccounted for." So they ask those kids, "Where are the other kids?" And one of them points over to a floating structure and says Arena World. So Green Lantern flies his way over there, and he tells Flash, like, "Hey, get those other kids back. I'll take care of Arena World." So we see in Arena World that there's this group of aliens who are recruiting these children to basically become future gladiators. And they're saying like one of them's like, humans are weak. You should never have bet on them. We'll beat you as soon as they're grown up or whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, we'll see about that." So Green Lantern comes in, starts laying down the hurt. He asks the ring where the kids are, and the ring identifies them as inside of these huge dog-like aliens. And he's like, "Okay, can't hurt the aliens then." So he's taken a bit back by the fact that he can't just punch these things out. Flash manages to teleport back. Green Lantern explains the situation. Flash phases the kids out of the aliens. And just like, "There, cool, we did it." And then all of a sudden the aliens who are running the show are like, "Hey, humans, cool. Here's the thing. We need these kids. I'm owner of the arena team. Like, I gotta do this thing. And Flash is like, we're not gonna let you take these kids. And Green Lantern's like, hold on. I'm a space cop. Let me talk this out. Let me see if I can get this done. You take those kids back home. So Barry takes the kids back home, and Green Lantern makes a deal with the space aliens. And Barry's like, the deal was we have to fight for them in the future, right? And Green Lantern's like, yeah, but I mean, I didn't think they'd ever come to collect. And he's like, why would you think they would not come to collect? That seems like the most obvious thing that they would eventually do. So either way, they both power up, and they are put out into this gladiatorial arena. And it's like, okay, so it's your standard fight to the death, only one left standing, and then we have to fight like their champion. And Flash is like, okay, and did you think to tell them that we don't kill people? Everyone's like, we'll figure out some way around it, no big deal. And so they just start arguing with each other about like, oh, I wish you would think ahead a little bit. I wish you would plan out. And Hal's like, oh, well, I wish you would actually take some action. I wish you'd just do something or whatnot. But regardless, a fight starts up, and they have to fight their way out. And it's a whole big action fight scene. But because of this environment, Barry, for some reason, is a little bit less connected to the Speed Force. He loses the powers a bit. But Green Lantern's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I've learned my lesson. I keep my battery with me at all times. So they manage to take out everybody, but they're not killing them. They're just knocking them out. And the crowd is booing them, yelling at them like, oh, yeah, you guys suck. And it's like, all right, whatever. So they're ready to fight the champion, but then they make the point of like, no, only one of you can be left standing. You need to take each other out. And it's like, well, that's not what's going to happen. We're not going to do that. And so one of them launches a trap that enraptures Green Lantern. Flash tries to get it off of him, but is unable to do so. And Flash is like, okay, look, I'll just take out the champion real quick and we'll be all good. We can do that. And we see the champion come in, and Barry is doing his best to attack him, but his Speed Force powers are weakened a bit, so he's not quite as agile as he should be. And then Barry comes over to Hal, and he's like, what do I do? How do I beat this guy? And Hal's like, I don't know, just don't think about it. Like, thinking's overrated. Just go by instinct. And then all of a sudden, the ring comes off of Hal's finger and puts itself onto Barry's finger. And he's like, you have the ability to outrun great fear. Do what you got to do here. And so he uses his speed mind to just get all the rules in his head, just figure out everything he needs to know regarding the ring. And he's like, cool, great. I got like one shot at this. So he scans the monster for a weak point. He finds that it's in this guy's crotch. So he runs underneath the monster, blasts upward with a Green Lantern gun, and takes him out. And the crowd loves it, but it drains Barry. Like, he was not good with using that ring. And then we cut to a little bit later. All of the organizers of Arena World have been handcuffed. They're all tied up. And Flash is like, oh, so you're actually like doing a space cop thing now. It's like, yeah, they're running a like fighting ring. Clearly I'm going to arrest them. But I just needed the rest of the Corps to help me out. So Hal and Barry hop on a little motorbike out of green constructs, and they start riding their way towards Earth. And just like, well, you got your way of doing things and I've got mine, but neither of them are wrong. They're just our own personal ways of doing things. And so Hal's like, well, hey, before you go home, how about a space bar? I got a real cool place to go to. So that's the story. It's good. It's a fine enough story. I don't think it was a bad issue at all. I do think that the Flash Green Lantern, because that was the thing back in like, what would have been Justice League number 2? 3, very early on, it was established that they knew each other beforehand. I like the fact that we get their first story. I like the fact that we went back and we're like, here's how they met and here's how they became somewhat of friends. So yeah, I'm all good with this. It's a good enough story. My only real critique to it is that it is so separate from what's going on in Flash, but it still links up to Green Lantern. That's the weird part. Like, it feels more like a Green Lantern annual than it does a Flash annual. But I suppose the fact that he delivered the final punch at the end is what makes it the Flash annual. So overall, it is still a good story. I'll give this one a 7.5. I do enjoy Sammy Basri's art. It's been a while since they've been on a book, but I enjoy it when I see it. So yeah, 7.5.